Ударный дрон. Ебать. Иди сюда. Ебать.
In the Sumy region, paratroopers together with adjacent units captured 15 Russian army servicemen. The airborne assault forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported that most of the prisoners were soldiers of the 810th and 155th separate Marine brigades. These brigades were particularly cruel to Ukrainian soldiers who were captured in the Kursk region. According to the command of the Ukrainian airborne forces, the Russian prisoners were provided with the necessary medical care. The Russians are planned to be used in further exchange for Ukrainian soldiers held in Russian captivity. In the video, the prisoners shared where they came from. In particular, they mentioned the Kemerovo region, St. Petersburg, Kursk, Omsk, Krasnoyarsk region, the Republic of Adygea, the Republic of Komi, Kyrgyzstan, and Dagestan. A citizen of Ukraine from Crimea was also captured, who joined the invaders and started fighting against his own homeland. Oleksandr Syrsky, commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, reported that the advance of Russian troops in the Sumy region was halted this week, and the line of contact was stabilized. According to him, in certain areas, Ukrainian units are successfully using active defense tactics and liberating Ukrainian land in the Sumy region. Syrsky stated that the Ukrainian armed forces have reconfined about 50,000 Russian troops in the North Slobozhansky and Kursk directions. Our offensive actions in the Hlushkiv district of the Kursk region forced the enemy to send some troops to defend its territory. This has significantly reduced the offensive capabilities of the main enemy group in the Sumy sector, he wrote. Also, the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine recently reported a decrease in the activity of Russian troops in the Sumy region. Recently, thanks to foot-crusher drone ammunition, an entire assault group of Russian invaders was eliminated in the Sumy region. An FPV drone struck a Tatneft fuel station in the village of Pyatnitskoye, Belgorod region, 18 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. This was an act of revenge because Russian troops destroyed the last gas station in Kostiantynivka, and Ukrainian forces responded. So, an unidentified drone struck the Tatneft gas station in Pyatnitskoye, Belgorod region.
Нахуй. Ударный дрон. Ебать. Иди сюда. Ебать.
Только, блядь, прилетел дрон. В заправке тут у нас.
Ukrainian drones equipped with net launchers have taken down 40 Russian Mavic UAVs and 3 FPV drones across multiple fronts. In the rapidly evolving world of modern warfare, Ukraine has introduced a bold and highly effective tactic, using drones to hunt drones. Over the past several weeks, Ukrainian forces have downed at least 40 Russian Mavic surveillance UAVs and 3 FPV kamikaze drones, deploying their own specially modified quadcopters armed with net launchers. This innovation, while seemingly simple, is reshaping how both armies approach reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and frontline tactics. The Russian Mavic drones, mostly civilian models adapted for military surveillance, have been essential for Russia's battlefield visibility. They guide artillery, track Ukrainian troop movements, and assist in coordinating attacks. But now, these eyes in the sky are being blinded mid-flight by Ukrainian-operated aerial interceptors. These net-launching drones close in on their targets, release a tangle of mesh mid-air, and drag enemy drones down with precision. What makes this tactic significant isn't just the number of drones taken down, it's the psychological and strategic disruption it causes. Russian troops, once confident in their drone-assisted operations, are now forced to operate without constant aerial overwatch. In some sectors, this has led to delayed artillery strikes, reduced targeting efficiency, and greater confusion among advancing units. Moreover, Drone-on-drone warfare shows how Ukraine continues to innovate despite asymmetrical odds. With limited access to expensive air defense systems, Ukrainians are improvising with affordable, adaptable tools that have a real impact. And unlike traditional air defense, these hunter drones can operate close to the front line without putting human operators at direct risk. The battlefield is changing, becoming smaller, faster, and smarter. This shift toward drone versus drone tactics signals a future where dominance in the air, even at low altitudes, will depend on agility, ingenuity, and constant adaptation. Ukraine's drone hunters are not just protecting troops, they're blinding the enemy, buying time and rewriting the rules of digital warfare, one intercepted drone at a time. Beyond their immediate tactical success, these Ukrainian counter-drone units are now being integrated into broader defense strategies. Commanders are assigning them to patrol high-risk zones near trenches, ammo dumps, and artillery positions, effectively creating mobile no-fly zones that protect critical assets without relying on heavy infrastructure or costly missile systems. The White House has recommended terminating U.S. funding for nearly 24 programs that conduct war crimes and accountability work globally, including in Myanmar, Syria, and on alleged Russian atrocities in Ukraine, according to 3 U.S. sources familiar with the matter and internal government documents reviewed by Reuters. The recommendation from the Office of Management and Budget, which was made on Wednesday and has not been previously reported, is not the final decision to end the programs, since it gives the State Department the option to appeal. But it sets up a potential back and forth between the OMB and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his aides, who will reply to OMB with their suggestions on which programs deserve to continue. The programs also include work in Iraq, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Colombia, Belarus, Sudan, South Sudan, Afghanistan, and the Gambia, according to the sources, and a list seen by Reuters. The State Department declined to comment. OMB did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The expectation that Rubio would argue for many of the programs to be continued is slim, according to 3 U.S. officials. However, the top U.S. diplomat could make a case to keep crucial programs, such as aiding potential war crimes prosecutions in Ukraine, according to one source familiar with the matter. Several of the programs earmarked for termination operate war crimes accountability projects in Ukraine, 3 sources familiar with the matter said, including Global Rights Compliance, which is helping to collect evidence of war crimes and crimes against humanity across Ukraine, such as sexual violence and torture. Another is Legal Action Worldwide, a legal aid group which supports local efforts to bring cases against Russian suspects of war crimes in Ukraine, the sources said. North Korea may deploy additional troops to Russia to fight in the war against Ukraine in July or August, and Pyongyang is continuing to supply arms to Russia, South Korean lawmakers said on Thursday, citing a briefing by the intelligence agency. The National Intelligence Service believes Russia may be readying to mount a large-scale assault against Ukraine in July or August, South Korean Member of Parliament Lee Seong-kwon told reporters after the closed-door briefing. The timing of the additional deployment is that it could be as early as July or August, Lee said, adding the agency cited a new roundup of troops for the dispatch by North Korea and a recent visit to Pyongyang by a top Russian presidential security official as grounds for its assessment. In return for North Korea sending artillery ammunition and missiles to Russia, Pyongyang is likely receiving technical advice on satellite launches and missile guidance systems, Lee said, citing the NIS briefing. After months of silence, both North Korea and Russia have disclosed the deployment of North Korean troops and the role they played in Moscow's offensive against Ukraine to reclaim the Kursk region. The 2 countries said the cooperation is based on the treaty signed by their leaders in June last year that includes a mutual defense pact. Attention, Poland and Germany. Russian propagandist Soloviev threatens to drop something and destroy the military industry of the countries who continue supplying arms to Ukraine if they do not stop doing so. He also asserts that an attack on Ukraine with tactical nuclear weapons will not provoke a strong reaction from the West, and that the 157th package in the package of sanctions won't scare them.
You're against the spread of nuclear weapons, but nuclear weapons entered Belarus. Do not spread. And he knows
Under our control.
Under our control, and will enter Iran.
I'm talking to you about alliances.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Alliances, exactly right.
And didn't take steps towards the alliance there?
Of course, they should make an agreement like this now, defining such Eurasian security. We have nothing against it, but we would strike, especially since we barely have anything. We need to strike with tactical nuclear weapons now and solve the problem. That's it. And immediately a security zone and cutting off the theater of war. Quietly, calmly, bridges over the Dnieper.
The tunnel that is used for supplying.
Well, of course, NCPOC. Entry points and that's it. Just in case, drop one more there in Poland. Moreover, tell them honestly, guys, if you stop the weapon supply program to Ukraine now, we won't drop anything. If you don't stop, goodbye. And just in case, target those factories that produce weapons reaching our territory. For example, the Germans should know, guys, as soon as Taurus arrives, please move your people away. Why? Because we will destroy your military industry. And no one will say a word. Well, they will impose sanctions. What kind? The 157 package in a bag.
Well, of course. And what to say, for example, if tomorrow in Ukraine they are one step away from a nuclear bomb?
Vladimir Vladimirovich.
What is allowed for them?
Vladimir Vladimirovich already said there will be catastrophic consequences. Ukraine will not exist. And right now, it is not really needed. Everything of ours is needed. Everything of theirs is not.
And regarding Iran, reports indicate a possible drone strike tonight targeting an apartment in a high-rise in Tehran's Farmanieh district. Rumors suggest senior IRGC officials or nuclear scientists may have been the intended targets. No group has claimed responsibility.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.